Hello, today I'm going to talk about vulnerability, healthy and unhealthy, balance, imbalance, vulnerability. And I got on this kick. I was kind of thinking about it a lot for a while, and then I had a visit with my parents, and my dad had said something. Actually, my mom told me something my dad had said a long time ago. I talk about that more in the blog, along with links of examples of some of the things I may reference here. So, what I'm going to do is give you some examples. In marketing, you are told, whether you're doing your own business or marketing for another company, it's very important to share the why. So when you can be vulnerable in a professional way, it actually helps build your brand because people want to know why they should do business with you. Why are you the expert out of all the, using myself as an example, life coaches, body workers? What is it about you that makes you the person I should choose to work with? And that's when the why is important. So vulnerability is valuable because it helps build a brand in a business sense. It helps attract the type of people that are looking for what you have to offer. And in another sense, I'm linked Terry Crews in my blog because he posted a lot of very vulnerable videos on Facebook about his former addiction to pornography and how that affected his life. And in so doing, he encouraged so many people to have an open conversation about this, very honest, which had more videos and more engagement, and people that really wanted to feel like they could connect with somebody who you can really kind of look up to. I mean, Terry Crews he's pretty awesome. I've always been a fan. And to have somebody like that say, look, I'm human too. This is something I went through. This is why it happened, where my mindset was, what got me there. And this is how I worked through it and how me and my wife worked through it together. That is a healthy vulnerability because then he's encouraging other people to have that dialogue and to not feel alone and not shame themselves and judge themselves, but actually say, look, it's not just me. Other people go through this. What do I need to do in order to heal and move forward? So that's a very empowering way to be vulnerable. Now, I had gone through phases of vulnerability. Now, when I'm vulnerable, I work hard on uh, being honest about some of the things that I'm going through or have been through so that other people cannot feel alone. And what's interesting is I thought I would hear more from women when I posted videos, but I've been hearing more from men. Now, I used to be vulnerable in a different way, and I heard from men also. But the types of men that message me now have changed dramatically. So now, when I'm vulnerable, I hear from men and I get very, very brief and concise messages with something very specific based on something I had posted. And they have a question and they relate it to someone they love or what they're experiencing in their relationship. And then I respond, and that's pretty much the end of it. They just want some clarity around something. And it actually makes me feel really good because I'm like, it kind of restores your faith in the human race, but men in general, because when you've gone through stuff with men that isn't so great, then it's like there are men out there that are really trying. They're really working on improving themselves, which I knew, but to have that validated is really kind of awesome. So, guys who message me and are watching this because they really want to learn or understand their partner or themselves, awesome. It surprises me that I get a lot of messages from women, but they don't have the follow through. But that's a whole feminine, masculine energy thing that I'll talk about later. Uh, but when I was more unhealthy, vulnerable, I was more in a needy space. I needed attention. So it's easy to confuse attention with love. People throw things on social media, and I used to write these really sexy, erotic blogs, and I would get all kinds of attention. Of course, I masked myself. I had a pseudonym, um, Ghost Wrote for myself, but I would get a lot of attention. And when I would put that Micah out there, that was the vulnerable Micah that was still naive. And I was reminded of it when my mom had visited me recently and said that my dad would mention how vulnerable I was. And when he said it, it was as vulnerable as she's just going to keep attracting these same types of men that are also in an unhealthy state of vulnerability. Because when you're in that state, you're going to attract people that are in a similar state. If somebody is in a healthy state of vulnerability, they tend to distance themselves, or any healthy state for that matter, they're going to distance themselves from someone that is clearly unhealthy. It's as simple as if somebody is sneezing and coughing and you're healthy, are you really going to say, hey, let's shake hands, let's hug, let's make out, when they're coughing and sneezing and clearly very visibly sick and contagious? No, you're not. Now, sometimes they might say, oh, it's just allergies, but you know when it's just allergies and when it's turned into something else. And they can believe all they want where they're at in life, but you know how sick they actually are physically. And that's kind of the same when you are working on yourself spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and you can recognize people that are still working on themselves. It's great that they're still doing that. They're just in a different place than you are. Everybody is in different life cycles at different times. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just life. So when you are in this unhealthy vulnerability, you're naive, you put a lot of things out there that would show that you need validation in some way, then you're going to attract people that really want to validate that. And they like that. They're engaged in, yeah, let me tell you how good you feel, because then maybe I'll get something back in return because I need validation on some level too. So that back and forth dynamic ends up happening, but they're two unhealthy vulnerabilities. So there's that dynamic where people are coming from a more fear-based or insecure space, because I can share myself in a very secure way. I can show people what I want to show them when I want to show it to them, whether it's your body, your mind, your heart. But if you're doing it because you feel empowered and you want to empower others, that's one thing. But when you're doing it from a space of, I need somebody to make me feel sexy, or I need somebody to love me, or I need to feel like this aspect of myself is recognized, that's when it's more of an unhealthy interaction. So it was kind of exciting to see the types of people. And yes, there's always going to be the random, like once in a while, there are those men that will send a message and I can tell immediately that they're trying to penetrate me in some way. It's interesting how the masculine energy works. Um, they are they will test me, whether it's psychologically or emotionally, and I figure it out really quick and can distance myself. But they're trying, they're testing, and they're figuring themselves out. So interacting with someone that is closer to their level is going to help them figure out where they're at too, and that's okay. It's not a big deal. But it's really exciting to see how many men step up and they're like, I want to understand relationships. I want to understand how I show up. I want to understand women more. So in watching my videos, I thank you for your comments and messages. If you're a male or female, because I do get messages from both, but surprisingly, a lot of men. But men are, that's a doing energy, and women are more of a being energy. Even though women accept change, the feminine energy, whether it's yin or female or whatever, they tend to accept change a little bit easier than the male energy. Males they like routine a little bit, but the masculine energy is also yang, and it also is, it's wants to do something. And in messaging me, they feel as though they're actively doing something to help make their relationship better because they want to understand something, which is pretty awesome. And I want to give all you guys who have messaged me props and say I appreciate you watching, and the person in your life that you're working on this for, even if it's just you, really deserves you. So read the blog for more detailed information on healthy and unhealthy vulnerability if you're interested, and to see some examples. Because if you're a woman and you're complaining about men, I got to tell you, there's a lot of men that are being vulnerable in healthy ways, and it's not necessarily a male-female thing. As I've said in a couple videos ago when I talked about taking responsibility, it's more about showing up and different levels of growth and self development. I wouldn't say improvement because nobody's broken, but developing and growing in wisdom is something that we can all strive for as we get older, because aging isn't that scary. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and like and share, and visit my website if you want to know more about private one-on-one sessions. Thank you so much, and make it a great day.